Well, a happy Friday to everybody. Welcome to another edition of The Game Changer, and this is This Week in Wrestling, you guys. I am Nate the Effing Great, joined here by my co-host, the one, the only, Agent Cooper himself, Mr. Max Beatty.
How's it going, everybody? We're back.
Yes, finally back after a little bit of a hiatus, but it was kind of a necessary hiatus. Not that we had any problems, but after the thrashing that you gave us at SummerSlam, it's just...
Hey, that's fine. That's fine. I understand completely. I did kind of dominate.
Just a little bit. There were some points where I'm like, well, if you lose, nope, not even going to matter. Well, what about nope? How about nope? And nope. We're done. I think it was like either Nakamura and Jinder or the main event where it was just like, yep, I'm not even posting the numbers up. I'm just going to put on there, he's still the champion by a landslide. And nobody said anything. Nobody's complained about it. Nobody said, "Oh, what were the points?" Really, it's like, yeah, no, it was bad. Max had a complete clean streak going into SummerSlam because of the NXT Takeover show. It was hard to come back after that. So,
on the bright side, honestly, it was a pretty good weekend for wrestling. Like SummerSlam had its ups and downs, but it was pretty good. It was pretty good.
It was pretty good, indeed. All right, so we are talking about, again, This Week in Wrestling, starting off with Monday Night Raw, which was my opinion, was an okay show. It wasn't really too standout-ish. If I had to basically pick some of the highlights, it would include Jason Jordan having one of the best matches of his career, an incredible Intercontinental title match, the women's title getting shaken up just a little bit, and by a little bit I mean majorly, as well as the steel cage match between Braun Strowman and Big Show delivers in a big way.
Oh my God, I got a lot to say about that cage match, man.
All right. So, what were your thoughts on John Cena versus Jason Jordan, first of all?
Honestly, ever since he came to Raw, I genuinely think that's probably been his best match. Jason Jordan, I should say. Probably been Jason Jordan's best match on Raw to date. I mean, he's a phenomenal wrestler, and John's a great wrestler, so it was just a matter of would they mesh well, and I think they really did. Ordinarily, I'd be, well, at least they made Jason look strong in defeat, but at the same time, they really honestly did. They really made it seem like, yeah, it took John freaking Cena to put this guy away. And that's a pretty big compliment. On top of that, I don't know, like the past couple weeks, ever since Cena came back to Raw, he's been kind of, I don't know, it's like he didn't really give a shit. Like when the audience was pulling the beach ball shit a couple weeks ago, instead of trying to get them reinvested in the match, he just encouraged it. Like, he just sort of really didn't give a fuck about what was going on. You could tell he really seemed to genuinely care about this match, and he put a lot of effort into it. I gotta say, great effort all around by both guys.
Yeah, it definitely was just absolutely amazing. It definitely made Jason Jordan look awesome, as you basically said. It's definitely a step in the right direction for Jason Jordan. Even in defeat, he looked like an absolutely phenomenal, wrestler all around, which was the Jason Jordan that we remember from, American Alpha, because let's face it, that was a great team. Why did you split them up, you silly WWE, you suck.
Jason Jordan, not Jason Jordan, but Gable, I think he's doing okay in the partner department right now.
Oh yeah, we're definitely going to be talking about that when we get into Smackdown Live. There's also another confrontation between John Cena and Roman Reigns afterwards. Not as hyped up as the contract signing. What were your thoughts on the contract signing last week?
The contract signing, I mean, if we were recording this like right after that Raw had ended, I would have been over the moon for it. But now that I've had a pretty good amount of time to think about it, well, don't get me wrong, both guys gave pretty strong performances on the mic. They both came out looking okay. The problem I kind of had with it was twofold. Number one, in any feud, even if you're trying to make one guy look like the cowardly heel, you want to make it seem like both guys are equal in some respect. Like they're both at least equal personalities. And I don't know if it's just the fault of Reigns not being that good on the mic still, or Cena just having way more experience, or what, but Reigns looked... I mean, he got a couple of good verbal jabs in there, but he looked like he got taken to the woodshed on that one. And then the other problem I had with it was just it felt very much like a late era WCW thing, where with all of the shooting and all of the, well, I should say work shooting. There's no way in the hell they would have said half that stuff without an okay from the boss. But all the work shooting they did, it always comes across, unless it's done very well, i.e. the way The Miz usually does it, it always comes across as everything else is fake, but this is real, and I never really liked that too much. Plus, I mean, the follow-up, I'm sorry, that one bit where, Cena made fun of his fly being down and Roman said, I broke the zipper, I'm like, dude, you are not 14 years old. No, do not turn this into a literal dick measuring contest, okay, man? I mean, I don't know how that match is going to go down, but right now, I never thought I'd say this, even with me turning a corner on Cena. I hope Cena murders him. I mean, just like what Lesnar did to Cena that one time at SummerSlam, that's what I want him to do to Roman a little bit. Just AA after AA after fucking five-knuckle shuffle, side suplex. Like, Roman is just dead.
Well, we're definitely a difference on opinions there. I thought that this was kind of one of those promos that didn't do Roman any favors, like you said, but it showed again that John Cena can be a bit of a dick, the dick that we've come to know and hate. So I'm actually hoping for the other way, where Roman Reigns is the one that just knocks Cena to the curb. I don't know if I would go as far as busting Cena's face up like Seth Rollins did, because that's going to be hard to top, in all honesty. But it would be a good start. I'm just saying. But moving on from that to the women's tag match, in which Nia Jax and Emma teamed up because they were both arguing with Kurt Angle, saying that they deserved a shot at the women's title because Sasha Banks has gotten so many different title opportunities, and Kurt says
they're not wrong.
And basically Kurt Angle says, well, she has a contractually rematch in her contract, and says, okay, so here's what we'll do. We'll have a tag team match where it's Alexa Bliss and Sasha Banks versus the two of you, and if you guys win, you'll be added to the match and making it a fatal four-way. We got ourselves a fatal four-way at No Mercy, and Nia's looking pretty dominant, because after the match was over, Emma was basically celebrating, making it seem like, oh, I did all the work, and Nia's just like, bitch, please. Picks her up, Samoan drop, boom.
Oh my god.
Oh boy. That's going to be a really good match. I think I'm looking forward to that match so well, with Alexa Bliss just being the way she is. I love what Sasha Banks is, that, she's one of the main baby faces on the Women's Raw roster. Nia Jax is just a dominant force that's very hard to take down, and Sasha could tell that, first-hand experience. And Emma, she's finally getting a pretty decent push. I think that with her, make it seem like she's the one who made the Raw's, Women's Revolution, something really stands out and really makes things a lot more interesting. I still do not like Emma's new theme music. I think it's one of the worst things for her, because what she originally had, hey, it worked for her. It had a little bit of what she had before, and plus that little retro, I guess, remix really made it a little bit more fitting of her character. This new one just, it feels like it's just a random generic one that they just decide, oh, we're just going to throw this in here, whatever. I don't understand.
No, I definitely got to agree with you on her current entrance music. I agree with everything you said about it, but on top of that, I'd also just throw in, it sounds a little bland, you know?
Yeah, it literally sounds like something a new, like, again, it's
like
just...
something we had in production already and just threw it out there.
Yeah, it just really... It sucks. But anyway, your thoughts on the fact that we're getting a Fatal 4-Way women's title match instead of a one-on-one women's title match?
Honestly, I'm totally fine with the Fatal 4-Way. I'm fine with the competitors that they have in it. I really, really want Nia Jax to finally walk away with the belt, and I no longer care how it happens. I just want her to win, damn it. I gotta say, though, that match, though, the best part of that was that bit where, like, Alexa popped Nia in the mouth, and Nia just kind of, like, rubs her chin, and then just roars at her, and Alexa Bliss starts, like, screaming and dancing and playing. What's the greatest thing? Oh, my God. No, but honestly, this match is probably going to be really damn good. All four of them have great chemistry with each other in multiple different angles and one-on-one. I'm kind of thinking, since it is a Fatal 4-Way and we have Nia and Sasha in this is probably going to be a little bit of a bump fest, and we're probably going to more than once go, well, Sasha's dead. Because she bumps, that woman takes bumps the way people would take a bullet.
That is the best way of putting it. It's just amazing how she just handles bumps like that, and how so many of us were just like, Sasha, just calm down just a little bit, because we still want you to be around here for a while.
We want you to stick around, dang it.
So, well, I actually forgot to mention this, and I want to kind of get your thoughts on this. They've already made the matchup official. The rematch between Finn Balor and Bray Wyatt, in which Bray Wyatt wants to face Finn Balor man-to-man, meaning that we're probably not going to be getting the Demon at No Mercy. It looks like this is going to be kind of like the rubber match where it decides everything. Does it make sense to really do this?
I mean, part of me wants to say yes, just because I really do like Finn, and I really want to like Bray. I mean, there is also, but then again, there's also a part of me that's like, I want to fight you man to man, none of that demon stuff. And I just, deep down, really wanted Finn to just go, but I'm stronger with the pain, and it's not illegal, and I can kick your ass with it. And it's like just a thing I can do. Maybe you should get on my level, bitch. You know? I really kind of, part of me wanted that, and I'm a little disappointed that we might not get the Demon, but I think it's probably going to be at least a decent match. I mean, honestly, this is a point where they need to find something to do with Finn Balor, because he's just kind of been existing, but on the other hand, Bray needs every win he can get, so I don't really know where I stand on this one. I mean, this one's difficult.
Yeah, this is one of those matches that I really want to look forward to. It's just kind of the way that they've just delivered it, delivering the hype to it, I think is what's more disappointing than the matches themselves. The matches have been pretty good. I thought that their match on Raw was great. I thought their match at SummerSlam was still pretty good. It really did embrace the whole Demon aspect, and it made him feel like it's something different and it's something special. It's going to be very interesting to see how they can capitalize on those two matches, or even try and go above and beyond them at No Mercy. Oh, God, I forgot. Another match that was added to No Mercy, other than the tag team titles, which, we know is going to be pretty awesome. The Cruiserweight title is going to be on the line. New number one contender, Enzo Amore, will take on Neville at No Mercy. I'm just gonna take a minute and let you just kind of rant about how you feel about this matchup.
Okay, I get it. Really, I get it. They need to do something with Enzo. And people have been saying for a while, if you ever split him up, even if he's not that good in the ring, which, let's be real, he's not exactly the best, put him in the cruiserweights. It's fine. But am I the only one who thinks that it makes the entire cruiserweight division look kind of bad when Enzo would get trucked, like murdered by everyone, including guys who really probably could fit into the cruiserweight division, and then he comes into the cruiserweight division and just wrecks shop? Like, I get it, Enzo's still popular with the crowd, you want to do something with him, but all you need to do is put him on even playing field. That's all. You don't need to make him look like some sort of dominant wrestling god. It's just, I really do not want them to put the belt on him. I really, really don't. I think with the way they've been handling him, it would be just no. It would not go over well. Like I said, I think the booking right now is making the rest of the Cruiserweight division look pretty bad. But I don't know. I mean, part of me is a little pissed, but then the rest of me is just kind of, what else did I really expect, you know?
You're kind of numbing yourself to the pain that's already going to happen, right?
Yeah, basically. It's sort of like, all right, I've been mentally preparing, just get it over with. I think I can handle it now. Keyword here is think.
Yeah, I agree. They have been just really weird with the Cruiserweight division this year alone. Neville has been one of the best champions that they've ever had. The fact that, he won it from Rich Swann at Rumble, had a great match with Jack Gallagher at Fastlane, great series of matches with Austin Aries. In all honesty, they should have had Aries win the title once before, eventually putting it back on Neville. Like what they did with Akira Tozawa, that should have been Austin Aries, in all honesty. They probably should not have been Akira Tozawa. Yes, even though Titus O'Neil can say, hey, I managed a champion, it's still one of those things where it's like, yeah, but you only did it for like 6 days. It just does not make that much sense. And now, they're pushing Enzo basically to the moon. I get that. I get that he's popular. Austin Aries was popular too, but the thing was that a lot of people cared about Austin Aries. They knew who he was. They know that he's a great wrestler. Enzo Amore, he's been in the Cruiserweight division for what was like a blink of an eye, and now he's getting a Cruiserweight title match. How much sense does that make, like you said, to guys who were there? They finally bring back Grand Metalik. Thank God. I loved that guy. He was the runner-up in the Cruiserweight Classic. Why aren't they pushing him to the moon? Cedric Alexander. Why aren't they doing the same thing with him? Noam Dar. Drew Gulak. All these other guys who definitely deserve it. And they're just giving it to somebody who makes the fans go, how you doing? And gives a good reaction. I get it. Reactions equal fame and reactions equal paychecks. But at the same time, it doesn't always get you everywhere. It really doesn't. Fame only gets you so far. You have to be really good in the ring. Enzo, I think, should have had more time to work in the ring and had more time to do just feuds with, random people like Drew Gulak, like Noam Dar, and develop something before getting thrown into the Cruiserweight title match. I'm not ready for this, right? I'm not ready for that Cruiserweight title matchup because, let's face it, we both know that Neville's going to eat Enzo alive.
Yeah, I mean, at least I kind of hope he does. It's what makes sense, for crying out loud.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see at No Mercy a few weeks away. But, moving on to something more positive, the Intercontinental title matchup between The Miz and Jeff Hardy. This is how you use Jeff Hardy the right way. Holy cow, was this matchup just marvelous. It was something that again shows that Miz is Intercontinental Champion and throwing Jeff Hardy in singles competition is what the right direction should be. Holy cow, was this a really good matchup.
Oh god, this was so fantastic. I mean, The Miz has been proving time and time again that boy knows how to fucking work. Not just in the ring, but definitely on the mic. And oh my god, and I'm sorry, Jeff Hardy proved back in the day, before he left WWE and went, TNA and all that, he can carry a singles match. He can carry a singles title. I mean, they made him WWE champion, and the fans were pretty much eating out of WWE's hands at that point. Like, oh my God, Jeff Hardy's the WWE champion. And I'll really admit, back then, I was one of those people like, oh my God, they put the belt on Jeff Hardy. Holy shit, this is the best thing ever. And, I mean, I don't mean this as an insult. The Hardys, ever since they came back, have been a little bit of a nostalgia act, but I mean that as a compliment instead of as an insult, because they've been owning it and doing really, really well with it. This was the first time when they broke away from that and just, damn, Jeff Hardy. I want more Jeff Hardy versus Miz. If they ever are allowed to do anything like the Broken Universe, I kind of want the Miz to be part of what is the catalyst for it now, I mean, can you imagine the promos between Broken Matt, Brother Nero, and the Miz?
That would just be absolutely amazing. I think I might just have a wrestling orgasm because of that. That would just be amazing.
Right? I mean, honestly, even if they don't go broken, just keep this stuff up. Seriously, they're fine. Like, this was the first time in weeks where it felt like not only were they treating The Miz with respect, but they were treating the title that he carries with respect. Because they've just been dumping on him and the IC belt pretty much this entire run with it. And finally, we get it to a point where both are being respected, and it involves the freaking Hardys. Whoever booked this, book everything.
Yeah, I agree. The matchup itself, like we said, was really good. The Miz Taraj got involved and got ejected, as well as Broken Matt, and that made for the matchup to be even better. But in the end, The Miz will go on to retain the Intercontinental title with the Skull Crusher finale on Jeff Hardy. Just make Miz just a great champion. Let him do what he does best, where he's actually just doing very well in the ring compared to what he's been doing years prior. Ever since we said this before, and we'll say it again. Ever since he had that huge, pipe bomb or Miz bomb, we could call it, with Daniel Bryan, he has definitely stepped up his game. He has definitely become something that a lot of people have come to really look at and say, when we think about the Intercontinental title, a lot of people that are in that long list of names that made it prestigious, Miz is going to be one of those guys who's in that list. And the way that he's just continuing on being that guy really shows you that, hey, Miz is going to be here for a while. He's going to make that title even better. Let's continue to roll with this. Let's do it. It's just awesome.
And on top of that, this is going to sound weird. I loved the finish. I mean, that bit where Maurice is just, pointing shit out real quick, and that's kind of what allowed The Miz to, get the win. When you think about it, she wasn't doing anything that any manager, heel or face, hasn't done. She was just being a manager, but at the same time, well, it's completely justifiable and not against the rules or anything, because of the way that Miz and Maurice have crafted their personalities, you kind of wind up hating them for that anyway, because it's this smarmy, scummy little douche who relies on his wife for everything. Basically just, it's so perfect. Like, when is the last time when I've been able to say a Raw match had a perfect finish?
It has really been a while. I'm trying to think the last time where you've said it had a really good finish to it, or even close to, just like decent, either like a decent finish or like good finish, near perfect. It's been a while, in all honesty. I can't think of any that really stand out, I guess.
Exactly. It's just, god damn, that was so good.
Max B, ladies and gentlemen, the Dave Meltzer of Central Wisconsin.
6 1/4 stars!
All right, so you ready, buddy? It's time to talk about the steel cage match between Braun Strowman and the Big Show. I believe that this is the third or fourth time that these guys have faced off in the main event of Monday Night Raw, and they killed it. Again, Braun Strowman and Big Show, they have such an amazing chemistry for two. And actually, Braun Strowman mentioned this in an interview where he said that the two of them, they're basically like the last of their breed. They're the last few, actual sports entertainers or wrestlers that are, of their size, of their caliber, and they're putting on these kind of quality matches. That says a lot, and it's very hard to disagree with that. Braun Strowman has been just doing so well on his own, and him and Big Show just really create matches where it's like, oh my gosh, they're almost wrestling as good as like the Cruiserweight division is nowadays, or how it's just easily hyped up like, the tag team titles or the Universal title match. Braun Strowman is becoming a household name, bottom line, and this matchup definitely proved that.
Oh my god, okay, first off, just getting this out there, I love one of the nicknames for these matches, because, they're both big Hossy dudes. People have been calling them the Hoss-pocalypse trilogy. It was Hoss-pocalypse, Hoss-pocalypse 2, The Hossening, and now Hoss-pocalypse 3, Rage in the Cage. And I gotta say, third match in the trilogy, probably the best one of the three. Just damn, so good. And there was so much here that was just so beautiful. And one thing that a lot of people have been pointing out, and they always go to the point to clarify that they don't mean this in a mean-spirited or cruel or anything kind of way like that. They've been saying that this almost could or even should be Big Show's retirement match. And the one thing they point out to why, and it's got nothing to do with the quality, it has everything to do with like a callback. When Big Show first showed up in WWE, how did he show up? By ripping the wall off a cage. How would he get sent out? By being thrown through the wall of a cage. And this sucker was double reinforced, apparently, and Braun Strowman just drives him through it like it's fucking nothing. And that wasn't, that's not even the best part of the whole match, and I'm flipping out about it. Part of me is like, okay, they've done a trilogy. I don't want them to do any more. But then this other part of me is like, shut up, dude. You want to see Hoss-pocalypse 4. Did you see that shit? This was amazing. Oh my. I'm sorry. First off, all the respect in the world to Big Show. I rescind so many negative comments I've said about him over the years. These three matches, goddamn, man. Paul White, respect. Much respect. And I'm sorry, if there are people that work in WWE that cannot see the writing on the wall that says Braun Strowman is a fucking star, y'all are just blind. People are salivating over this dude, right? You have no idea how much I and a lot of other people want him to murder Brock Lesnar.
You and me both when it comes to that. I mentioned on the episode of Pro Wrestling Off Topic with Zach, it's time to finally give the Universal title more prestige, take it off of the part-timer of Brock Lesnar, put on somebody that's going to be there full-time and who's going to create some great quality matches. And one of the guys right now that's going to do that is Braun Strowman. Early prediction for No Mercy, I'm predicting that Braun Strowman's going to go, walk away with the belts, unless, convinced otherwise, unless I have a different, different mindset going into the prediction show in about a few weeks.
Oh, man, I agree with you 110%. And it's so perfect. Like, if he takes off of Lesnar, if he took it off of, say, he had, honestly, I loved his feud with Roman Reigns. If Roman had been the Universal Champion, he took it off of Roman, yeah, that would have been a big deal. It would have felt cool. That would have been, I'd be all for that. if he takes it off of Lesnar, oh my God, I might just be so happy that every time I start to get mad at Raw, I'll just slowly whisper to myself, Braun Strowman is Universal Champion, and I'll just feel better. I'll be fine. Oh my God, they're making the cruiserweights look like garbage again. Braun Strowman is Universal Champion, and suddenly I'm fine with it.
Well, I mean, right now, I think one of your happiest moments was Braun Strowman flipping over a ambulance with Roman Reigns inside of it, so...
That will never not be one of the greatest moments in WWE history. I want, like, when I die, I want a computer screen built into my tombstone that just plays that on a loop.
You heard it here first, folks. Max Speedy is revolutionizing the future, and the future is Braun Strowman just flipped over an ambulance with Roman Reigns in it. Just...
Hell, dude, just the idea of him flipping over an ambulance, I'm just kind of like, dude, I just love how they're still trying to play him off a little bit as a monster heel, and I'm like, dude, he flipped an ambulance. How am I supposed... At this point, I want him to just wrestle Godzilla. Just, I'm not finished with Kaiju. That's all I want.
Oh my gosh, you gotta love it. So, all in all, Raw was okay, but in my opinion, I think that Smackdown took the win this week. Moving into Smackdown Live, the Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon storyline took a bit of an interesting turn, and it's going to continue taking an interesting turn going into the Sin City Smackdown episode that they have this upcoming Tuesday, in which we have 3 huge title matches, and also on this SmackDown Live we determined who is going to face off against Jinder Mahal for the WWE Championship. But let's get down to business first, though. Shane McMahon came out and confronted Kevin Owens, because Kevin Owens was just saying, like, oh, I'm going to ref this match, nobody's going to tell me what to do. Shane's like, yeah, you're not going to do that. And Kevin Owens, again, just whining and complaining about the fact that Shane cost Kevin Owens the U.S. title. Shane basically said, I told you what was going to happen. If either one of you put your hands on me, there was going to be retaliation. And then Kevin Owens, being Kevin Owens, decides, you know that fine line that we like to put in wrestling scripts? Yeah, we're going to just boot that out the door and just go completely apeshit on that. Because Kevin Owens basically talked about his family, his kids, and even bringing up the helicopter incident that Shane McMahon was involved with a few weeks ago, where he was very lucky to be alive. The fact that they brought that into the storyline really made it more personal. Shane McMahon attacks Kevin Owens, which resulted in him getting suspended because Kevin Owens promised to press charges against the WWE, promising to make SmackDown Live the Kevin Owens show permanently. It just was actually a really good segment. I think that SmackDown Live is starting to slowly win back the favor of so many fans, especially with this, storyline. Your thoughts on everything that happened between Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon this past week?
I love the war words. Like, when Kevin Owens started bringing up his kids, when he brought up the helicopter crash, you could feel like, you hit the line and stepped over it. Like, there was that, ooh, shit, did you really just say that? Like, and I always appreciate that from a heel, because it kind of jolts you to the point where your suspension of disbelief is just absolute. Like, you're, holy shit, fuck this asshole. That was too far. But on the other hand, well, I always feel weird when they put the management up against, wrestlers. Like, don't get me wrong, there are exceptions to that rule. Obviously, the go-to one for that would be Vince versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, but that honestly just had to come down to the fact that Mr. McMahon, the character, is the most evil son of a bitch in all of wrestling. Like, Jesus Christ, dude. And on top of that, I mean, I don't think anyone's going to say that Vince McMahon doesn't look like, we've seen him wrestle. The dude is built. Even in his 60s and 70s, dude looks like he could tear someone in half. He's jacked. But Shane, I don't know. It's just one of those things where it feels really weird. And then I hate to say this, but the whole Shane McMahon gets suspended thing, and he's abusing and Kevin Owens accusing him of abusing his authority. This isn't like The Miz, what I was talking about with the whole Maurice thing at the end of that match, where it's completely within the rules, but his character pushes it over, and it kind of is in this moral gray area. Kevin Owens just kind of felt like he was in the right. Like, yeah, this guy's a scumbag. Listen to what he said, bringing up his kids and the helicopter crash. But Shane's kind of been throwing his weight around in terms of backstage power, and the authority figures can't be putting their hands on wrestlers. It was one of those moments where I'm like, I want to root for Shane, but at the same time, I don't know. For this segment and this whole episode of Smackdown felt very weird to me. Like, Road Dogg is currently one of the lead writers and creative talents behind Smackdown right now. In fact, he might just be the lead writer for it.
Right.
And by the end of this segment, I was just kind of like, Road Dogg, man, what are you thinking here, bro? I don't know. This whole episode just felt really weird to me.
Well, you also have to take into consideration that, yes, Road Dogg is the head lead of, SmackDown Live, but most of these decisions that, boil down to it always have to go through, Vince McMahon. So Road Dogg may have had something really good on here, and Vince just said, well, let's actually go down this direction and, we'll hype up this deal where I make my return to TV. And Road Dogg's just like, okay, all right, fine. So I don't entirely blame Road Dogg, and I know I'm going to sound like, one of those people, but Vince McMahon, he is always out of touch with these things. This might be one of those best examples. And as I mentioned, it all results in Vince McMahon making his return to SmackDown Live next week in Sin City SmackDown. So he'll basically give a decision on what to do with this whole Shane McMahon, Kevin Owens situation. Gonna be interested in seeing how they try to do this. But, hey, SmackDown Live gets Vince McMahon.
It'll be interesting. I'm not trying to make it sound like I don't want to see how things are going to play out. I do. They do have my curiosity. But at the same time, like I said, it just feels weird,
Yeah. Well, especially considering that this is one of the first SmackDown Live episodes that did not feature the Fashion Files. And I want to just state this right off the back. A year ago when Yumi went to, I think it was the Raw, one of the Raws, like going into SummerSlam or something like that. And I posted that video where we had this reaction of Breezango's first time theme music, where where basically I had that face of just like, and you're just like, their entrance music is cooler than them themselves. If you had told me a year ago that Breezango would be one of the best things on SmackDown Live, I would have probably given you that same face and just shook my head like, you crazy.
Oh, dude, I agree with you. A year ago, same thing. If somebody had told me, dude, in a year, those two are going to be doing these skits that are going to like parody Twin Peaks, and you're going to lose your shit because of it, I would have been like, why are you lying to me? Why you got to lie to me? And flash forward a year, and I am vitriolically enraged that there was no Fashion Files segment on this episode of SmackDown. What did I do, Vince? How have I angered you? You give me back my Fashion Files, old man. I don't care if you could probably tear me in half like a fucking piece of paper. I will fight you for my Fashion Files. God damn it.
Actually, the funny thing was that Tyler Breeze actually did do a tweet about that. He actually said, so we weren't on SmackDown this week. We didn't record a Fashion Files? What? So he kind of had that same reaction.
That is evil, man. That is just rubbing salt in the wound.
It really is.
Like that. You better have Fashion Files next week, or I will.
You'll go to Sin City and burn something at least.
Pretty much, I will burn an effigy of Vince McMahon or something. The only way that this can be made up for is if at the next pay-per-view they have a Fashion Files segment that somehow spills into a match and Breezango just wrecks house. then we'll be cool. Then SmackDown Live and then you and I will be cool again. You do not just... It's like a drug, okay? You can't just steady drip me this Fashion Files sweetness and then take it away.
Hey, you make a fair point. Well, speaking of tag teams, they made the announcement of what the tag team title matchup was going to be between the New Day and the Usos for the SmackDown Live tag team titles. And it's going to be a Sin City street fight. With all the matches that they've had building up to this point, they had a meh match at, Money in the Bank. They had a pretty good matchup at Battleground. They had an amazing matchup at SummerSlam. You got to believe that this matchup is just going to just take every single matchup they had, blow it out of the water, and then just replace it with something marvelous, like a monument of tag teams right now.
Oh my God, right? I mean, first off, heel Usos for life, people. Just, Jesus, God damn, these Uso penitentiary. Lock me up, damn it. But, honestly, I'm sorry, they goddamn near stole the show at SummerSlam. Just, Jesus. I honestly, give them 30 minutes. Just be like, okay, y'all got half an hour. Do what you want. I guarantee you, they will burn the house down and build a new one in its place. Just, these two, and I swear to God, if they are on the pre-show again, do not delegate these guys to the pre-show. There's plenty of crap you can put on the pre-show. They deserve at least middle of the card at the next pay-per-view. If they aren't on the main roster, main pay-per-view card, what are we even doing?
It's actually interesting that you bring that up because a fellow Hall of Famer actually agrees with you on that in the form of Edge. Because,
really?
Yeah, Edge and Christian have their own podcast called Podcast of Awesomeness, which is definitely great. Go check that out. He mentions that, the same thing, that why they were on the pre-show made absolutely no sense because this was actually the matchup that he by far said was one of his favorites, if not his favorite, or if not best matchup of the whole show was the Usos versus the New Day. The story that they're telling, the matches are delivering very well. It's just really amazing just seeing what they do with these two teams. The New Day having the claim of being the longest reigning tag team champions of all time, which, hard to argue with that. And they're also now the only tag team to have won the Raw tag team titles as well as the SmackDown tag team titles. So this is just really good seeing them continuing their, great promo skills. And the Usos, like you said, have just been knocking it out of the park ever since they won the tag team titles from American Alpha. I want to say before WrestleMania time. Why that was not a WrestleMania, to say the least, is like, why? Why do you just... But we get a Sin City street fight out of it. Totally okay with it. And I have a feeling that either Big E or Xavier Woods are going to be going to Super Kick City courtesy of the Usos.
Oh, definitely. I mean, and one thing I have noticed, in almost all of the matches that they've had together, like at least two of the three, they've had one spot that just kind of makes your jaw hit the floor. And you don't even say anything, you're just like, damn, like that one sliding super kick into Xavier Woods as he was coming off the turnbuckle where it just looked like he was almost decapitated. I mean, they're going to bust something out like that. I mean, it's street fight, which means hardcore wrestling. They can use weapons and props and shit. Something is going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a little hard way bleeding.
I wouldn't be surprised by that either. I think that the Usos and the New Day definitely could pull that off. And we'll have to find out next week what that's going to be like. All right, so another matchup that was announced for next week's Sin City SmackDown was the women's title rematch between Natalya and Naomi. That's going to be a really good matchup. You can bet your money on that. Carmella's worth pulling a Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, basically, where, oh my gosh, and it created a lot of hoopla considering what Carmella did. All right, so just to save Max a little bit of pain and torture, basically, Natalya and Carmella had a matchup between the two of them on SmackDown Live. James Ellsworth screwed up. He dropped the briefcase in the ring. Referee was all confused, like, oh, are you cashing in? You cashing in? Carmella's like, no, I'm not cashing in. Natalya picks up the pin. Carmella literally just cuts down Xavier Woods into tiny little pieces, chews her up, spits him out on the floor, and steps on what's left of James Ellsworth. And then, because James Ellsworth is apparently that desperate for some booty, and no, not booty-os, he just goes up, basically agrees with everything Carmella says about him being like a freak, being like an alien, just asking for Carmella's forgiveness, and Carmella's just like, alright, fine, but we'll do it my way. The kiss heard around the world, and somewhere Big Cass wants to kick James Ellsworth's head off, but unfortunately due to an ACL injury, he is unable to do that, so he is just basically throwing his remote at his TV right now in their new house, and then he gets a big smile on his face after Carmella slaps him in the face. Literally one of the stupidest things I have ever seen. Why the hell did they do this whole ordeal? It made absolutely no sense.
It didn't make... And nobody involved looked good. It was boring. It was awkward. It was badly executed, badly booked and written. It was just... Nobody came out of this looking good, and I mean, just, you know, once the whole James Ellsworth, Dean Ambrose, AJ Styles thing was pretty much done, after that, Ellsworth should have just, stuck around a little bit and then just very quietly faded out. Instead, we got it dragged out. It's like walking on a broken leg. Just stop and go to the hospital, you idiot.
Yeah. You know what? We're just going to leave it at that. Moving on. The other title matchup that will happen next week is a United States Championship matchup. AJ Styles defending against Ty Dillinger, who had a matchup with Baron Corbin this week. They're definitely building up for Baron Corbin versus AJ Styles for the U.S. title. More than likely happening at I think it's a Hell in a Cell event. So hey, that's going to be pretty good. AJ Styles said to Ty Dillinger that, hey, you know what? What happened last time we fought off was wrong. The fact that, you weren't 100%, that proved absolutely nothing. So he said the U.S. Open Challenge next week is open only to you. So, all honesty, this is kind of one of those things where it's like, wow, if ever there was a man who could make the John Cena U.S. Open Challenge look even better, it's AJ Styles. Let's face it. Oh my gosh. This was kind of one of those things where it's like, I love this guy even more. He's basically saying, hey, we want a proper matchup. I want a proper matchup. I want to actually decide, between the two of us, who is actually the better person. No interference, no backstage shenanigans, no nothing. Just you and me, one-on-one in a matchup. And honestly, this is going to do a lot of favors for Ty Dillinger. He is in the U.S. title picture, and he's going to get another matchup with AJ Styles. Oh, this matchup, I love it. I have a prediction that this is going to be one of the best matches for Ty Dillinger. And it may even be one of the top matches for AJ Styles. Who knows?
Well, I mean, I don't know if I would personally go that far with it. But I agree with everything he said. In addition to that, it just makes AJ Styles look like a really nice guy and a really genuine competitor. Like, you know what? I want to fight, but I want a good fight. And what we had wasn't a good fight. What I also really love is, and I'm pretty sure WWE didn't intend this, but if they really wanted to, this could be a perfect opportunity to have a heel AJ Styles again. Real simple. Yeah, I had another match with you because I wanted another easy win.
Well, I don't know if he's going to go down that far because I don't
think they would. I don't think they're going to. I'm saying if they. That's why I prefaced it by saying I don't think WWE intended that.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. Regardless, though, I mean, like I said, I love the concept. It makes AJ look like a world-class competitor. It's a nice little spin on the U.S. Open Challenge that he's been continuing from Cena. If anyone can make Ty Dillinger look like $1 million, it's AJ Styles. And Ty Dillinger doesn't need much help in that regard. The crowd friggin' loves him, and he's a damn talented in-ring performer. It makes the belt look good. I said earlier that this whole episode of Smackdown felt really weird, and I stand by that, but one of the few points that didn't feel weird to me was definitely this. Everything going on with the U.S. title scene is just phenomenal right now, and no, that's not a pun because of AJ Styles. It's just that damn good.
I agree 100%. And with that, we move on to the main event. That was Shinsuke Nakamura versus Randy Orton. Winner faces off against Jinder Mahal for the WWE title at Hell in the Cell. Shinsuke Nakamura and Randy Orton. Is it safe to say that they delivered?
It was a good match. I am not going to call it a great match. It was a good match. I'm a little disappointed that it wasn't just 5 minutes of Nakamura absolutely bodying Orton around the ring. Because, I'm sorry. I'm going to say this until they finally start doing it. Nakamura is not the kind of guy that should be getting the come-from-underneath babyface win, and he's not the kind of guy that you should have the 50-50 booking kind of win, like, oh, they're both stalwart competitors. No, Shinsuke Nakamura should go into every match like he's the Terminator versus a cross-eyed, wheelchair-bound hobbit, and Randy Orton should have had to basically, RKO'd him, 5 times to get, a fucking 2 count. Not saying that Randy Orton's a piss-poor wrestler or that Nakamura just makes him look like a sack of crap, but it's the kind of thing where it's like, Randy, you're good, but Nakamura is called the king of strong style. He's the king of something. If anyone should have been having to fight from underneath, it should have been Randy. But all that aside, still a very good match. I think Randy Orton is still kind of in that phase of not giving a crap about a lot of things right now. And, well, some of the shit WWE's had him do this past year, I can't blame him. But out of all the matches he's had this year, him versus Nakamura is probably the best one.
I was very surprised at one of the counters that Nakamura did with Randy Orton. Randy Orton goes for the RKO, and as soon as Randy Orton goes down, Nakamura counters into that cross armbar. Because I didn't get a chance to actually watch the matchup. I had to watch it through the highlights to actually witness this beauty of a counter where when they said, Nakamura counters into an armbar, I'm thinking, like a regular armbar where, he's wrenching the arm to the side, like it was almost like a crossface armbar. No, it was like a cross arm breaker, and literally I had to watch that 3 or 4 times. Like, did that really just wait? What? One more time? Just one more time? Oh my God, they actually did that! Holy crap, that was actually really good.
Oh God, yeah. That counter was just dope. I'd still say that the best count, it's not a counter to the RKO, it was just a counter involving the RKO. But the best counter involving the RKO still has got to be that WrestleMania match with Orton and Rollins, where Rollins went for the curb stomp, and Orton literally just stood up and magically flung Rollins into the air with the power of his neck, and just boom, or hit him with the RKO. That is still gotta be the best RKO RKO counter ever. But honestly, for someone countering the RKO, this has got to be damn up there. That was just, it was so smooth, but it looked so good, and it looked so real. It was just, God damn, that counter is one of the reasons why Nakamura should be killing people.
And we could all be very thankful because considering that, JBL is no longer on commentary on SmackDown Live, we get Corey Graves on SmackDown Live, which means only one thing. When Nakamura sets up, we hear Kinshasa!
I want to be as excited about something in my life as Corey Graves is excited for a Kinshasa. Like, damn, dude, like, is Vince injecting, like, dopamine into your brain whenever he steps up for that? Jesus. Like, the dude acts like it's about to end all negativity in the world. It's amazing. I love Corey Graves. Like, I've thrown a lot of shade at Corey Graves on commentary. It's just not my cup of tea. But every once in a while, he's gold. Whenever he's insulting Elias Sampson, it's the best shade you've ever heard. Whenever he's calling a Nakamura match, he's focused like a laser, and when that Kinshasa is about to be hit, he turns into a hyperactive 12-year-old. It's great.
It really is awesome. It's good to see Corey Graves on SmackDown where he can make Nakamura seem like a major threat, just like he did in NXT. And you know what? In NXT, Nakamura was a major threat. I mean, considering the fact that he almost dislocated Samoa Joe's jaw, I think when you were talking about, Nakamura being basically like the Terminator and just wrecking through everybody, I think that's like the best example that I could think of when you're describing it like that, because the way that he wrecks Samoa Joe at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 2, holy crap. I just remember that matchup where I think Samoa Joe took either 3 or 4 Kinshasas to the jaw and just looked like he got demolished by Nakamura. It's like, yeah, can we have that Nakamura come back, please? Because that would just be awesome.
I've seen a couple New Japan matches back when he first started doing the whole King of Strong style thing, and when he was a heel, and he established this faction called Chaos. And that little hand gesture he does where he puts his ring finger down and keeps the other fingers out. There's a shot in one of those matches where he's doing that, and there is just blood dripping all over his face, and the hand that he's doing the hand sign with is just covered in his opponent's blood, and he's just spitting some of the blood out. I'm just like, I could lift weights until I'm the size of Brian Cage, and I will never be as badass as that moment.
Oh my gosh, Nakamura, we love you, and we're hoping that we see you as WWE Champion at the end of Hell in the Cell, because let's face it, the gender experiment can just be done. Let's pull the plug on it right now. Please and thank you. Plus, can you imagine Funaki just freaking out about Nakamura winning the WWE Championship?
Oh my god. Don't get me wrong. I love listening to the Indian commentary team lose their freaking minds when Jinder first won the title. I thought one of those guys was about to just start a fucking prayer circle or something. Just, damn, man. Hey, good for you guys. But, Funaki is probably just going to start jumping up and down on the announce table and screaming about how Japan is number 1. Japan number 1! Smackdown number 1! Nakamura number 1! I'd be like, no, I can't even disagree with that. Your enthusiasm is infectious. I love you, Funaki.
I think that might be the matchup that we're just going to have to, change the audio to the Japanese commentary just to hopefully see and listen to Funaki just having that moment.
Oh my god, yes. Oh, that'd be so absolutely great. The only reason I even heard the Indian commentary team flipping out about Jinder was because some people got their hands on the raw footage of what was broadcast in India for that match. and uploaded the announcers' reactions. And like I said, regardless of how anyone might feel about Jinder, I definitely get why a lot of people of Indian descent would rally behind him, and I totally get the enthusiasm with those guys at the announce table. But I think because Nakamura is just so much a better wrestler, yeah, it'll definitely be huge because, hey, we had our first Indian world champion. We'll have our first Japanese world champion in WWE. Not only is that cool in and of itself, but he's such a damn good wrestler that everyone is going to be right there with Funaki losing their shit.
Yeah, basically.
I'm going to be right there with him, man. I swear to God.
All right, so we transitioned from Smackdown Live to Wednesday, which is always a double dose of fun, because we had NXT as well as Lucha Underground.
Oh my God! I watched Lucha Underground this afternoon after work. Holy fucking shit!
We'll start off with Lucha Underground then. We kicked off with a battle for the Aztec Medallion in which we saw Drago taking on the Mac. Really good matchup between the two of them. And one of my tweets has been very popular where I said, hey, that's what happens when you disrespect the Queen, where basically the Mac just shoves Cobra Moon in her face, just saying like, just get out of here, lady.
Get off the face, woman.
And then Drago took advantage with a beautiful roll-up that he does for the 1-2-3, and Drago wins one of the Aztec medallions. After the matchup, the Mac gets destroyed by the rest of the Reptile Tribe, which now thinking about it, I'm thinking, oh boy, there's probably a tear going down Max's face right now because the Mac is his boy.
That's so hard for me because it's like I love Drago, I love the Reptile Clan, but it's Willie fucking Mac. Like, okay, my love of the Mac kind of exploded last week because I sat down with a couple of friends and we watched the Netflix series Glow. For those of you who haven't seen it, Willie Mack is one of the wrestlers that has a role in it. And it's not even just a cameo, he's actually a recurring character. He plays the husband of one of the main characters in the show. First off, a lot of people have been saying for a long time that Willie Mack he's a very good actor, especially for pro wrestling. He is just fun. He doesn't get that much in Glow, but talk about maximizing your minutes. He did a phenomenal job. His character is just so friggin' likable. He's funny. He's witty. Hell, he's actually the referee for the whole promotion. It's great. So my love for the dude just exploded even more. And then we have him in a match with Drago, and when the match was over, I was like, okay, Drago won. As long as the Reptile Tribe doesn't wreck him, and goddamn it, and I'm just like, no, not the Mac. Anyone but the Mac. This is a really awesome beatdown. This looks so brutal. 10 out of 10, but why?
Yeah, and a lot of people that don't know, and probably since you've been hiding under a rock this whole time, when we're talking about ancient Aztec medallions, we're of course talking about build-up to one of the most prestigious titles in all of Lucha Underground, that being the Gift of the Gods Championship. Already, geez Louise, I mean, we've already got...
Distribution of the Money in the Bank briefcase that isn't the Money in the Bank briefcase.
Bottom line, yeah. And so far in these matches, we've seen the Rabbit Tribe get 3 Aztec medallions. We've seen Son of Havoc. We've seen the Drago now get one. We had another one in which we saw Castro Cortez take on Joey Ryan in a 5-0 street fight. Holy fucking God, was this matchup brutal. In all honesty, I actually said, for gimmick matches, this was exactly what I had in mind, because 5-0, of course, is basically one of the police units around the Boyle Heights area. So with this, they had police cars, they had policemen with riot shields, they even had a table with coffee and donuts. One of the best things I had ever seen, until I saw Castro-Cortez basically say, I'm just going to take this coffee, I'm just going to pour it down Joey Ryan's tights. He basically burns Joey Ryan's dick, which has somehow gotten more over than James Ellsworth himself. And then to add insult to injury, let's add the fact that before this even happened, I said, God, if they put a taser in this, I will be one happy man. And then, of course, I hear somebody reply to me, you may get your wish, because then I see Cortez picking up a taser. I'm like, oh my God, I'm in the twilight zone of wrestling. This is amazing. And he basically now just zaps Joey Ryan's dick. And this match got brutal. It got intense. And in the end, Castro-Cortez picks up the victory with a brutal Death Valley driver on the Riot Shield for the 1-2-3, earning another Aztec medallion. Oh my gosh. Brutality, gimmick matches, great wrestling. That is basically what I could describe with the 5-0 street fight.
God, 110% there with you, man. This, as soon as I saw the Riot Shield cops and the squad cars, I'm like, I'm done. They don't even need to have a match. It's fucking perfect already. Coffee and donuts. We're going there. Yes, I'm taking this ride with you, Lucha Underground. As soon as the coffee went down Joey Ryan's trunks, I'm just like, I'm going to love this. There's no way this can possibly get better. I know it's Lucha Underground, but he just scalded Joey Ryan's dick. And I got so sick and tired of that stupid cock suplex bullshit. It was vindication. I'm like, it can't get any better. Taser to the package. Cortez Castro for president. 2020, man. 2020. Oh my God. And plus, I just gotta say, it's about time in storyline that Castro got won the fuck over in the most devastating way over Joey. Like, this has been a long time coming. Goddamn, that you know the wrestling is good when you not only are happy at the end of the match, but you are vindicated that the heel lost. Like, that is that special slice of wrestling that is just bliss.
Yes, I love everything about this matchup, and I really want to just go back and watch it again because it was beautiful. And then we go from that matchup to a matchup in which we witnessed almost, murder, brutality, and everything that is probably right in the world, including a chant of "We want murder." Oh no, wait, that was during the 5-0 street fight. That's right. When I heard that, I'm like, oh my God, these guys are like, these guys just want to see them get destroyed. They want to just see somebody just bring out a knife.
Crowd with every last fuck gone. No fucking give it. Like ECW, we want blood. We want blood. But every once in a while, ECW fans will still be like, okay, please don't die. Please don't die. Lucha Underground fans during this match, just kill each other.
It basically was.
I think the temple might actually be kind of evil.
I think I might agree with you with that. I think the temple's just corrupting a lot of people. And who better to be corrupted than Matanza, who took on the Rabbit Tribe in a 3-on-1 handicap match, in which, oh my God, the Rabbit Tribe actually pulled off some amazing offense, and they actually looked legit, including Paul London hitting a shooting star press on Matanza. I thought to myself, oh my God, I'm definitely in the Twilight Zone. If they pin Matanza, 1, 2, no. Okay, thank God. Then Matanza just comes in and wrecks everybody. Wrath of the Gods, 1, 2, 3. Matanza looking strong, especially considering who he's got to face off against next week. It'll be Matanza versus Rey Mysterio, 1-on-1. Jesus, that is...
One's been building for a while.
And honestly, I thought that Matanza was going to get involved in the Lucha Underground title situation, but Dario Cueto got involved, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is just as good. Oh, he's just 619 Dario. Matanza's going to kill you, Ray. Just so you know. Just so you know.
Like, you took a belt from him, you fed him a loss, and you just 619 the only person on the planet Matanza wouldn't kill. You are going... There won't even be enough of you left to fit in your mask, homie.
The bottom line, yeah. But also announced for next week, we have an Atomicos matchup, which will feature Team Johnny Mundo taking on Team Prince Puma. We still don't know who Prince Puma's tag team partners are, but we know that Taya and Jack Evans are going to be with Johnny Mundo. And we also know that the final Aztec medallion will be decided as it will be El Dragon Azteca Jr. taking on Pentagon Dark.
That is one of the best things I had heard all year up to that point. Like, just, man, 2017 really it's been a shit year so far. Lucha Underground is going to do an Aztec metal match between Pentagon Dark and El Dragon Azteca Jr. You know, 2017 gets a bad rap, man. It really doesn't deserve all the hate. I mean, okay, so it kind of feels like we're teetering on the edge of the apocalypse. Pentagon Dark versus Azteca Azteca. I think that's worthy of Armageddon. You know, fuck it. I mean, I don't even know how that match is going to go. Like, I mean, that's... Either way, somebody's gonna die. Like, it's... All I need is that flipping DDT thing that El Dragon Azteca Jr. does. Apparently it's called the Pizza DDT. All I need is for him to try to hit that, and Pentagon somehow countering that into the arm snapper thing. Just, if I can see that, I don't need anything else. I'll be fine. I'll be good. Lucha Underground. You are the magic factory that produces the sugar that I like.
Well, it definitely is going to be very interesting to see how they do with Ultimate Lucha 3, which is apparently going to be a not one, not two, not three, but apparently a 4-night extravaganza, all headlined by Prince Puma taking on Johnny Mundo for the Lucha Underground Championship. And Johnny Mundo tried to raise the stakes where he says, well, I'm putting my title on the line. Why don't you put your mask on the line? Prince Puma just says, fuck it, let's do it. And Dario's just like, hold the phone. Look, I get it. We know how prestigious the mask is, but we already have a mask versus hair matchup set up for Ultima Lucha 3, featuring Marty the Moth and Phoenix, which is going to be, oh god, I'm looking forward to that matchup in all honesty. And probably not for the right reasons, but but Dario decided, let's see, what is something else that you really hold prestigious, Prince Puma? What is something that you really love? Why don't you put your career on the line? And Prince Puma, it took a little while, but Prince Puma just says, you know what? Again, fuck it. Let's do it. So at Ultima Lucha 3, it's going to be Johnny Mundo putting his title on the line. Prince Puma puts his career on the line. God help me, I am looking forward to this matchup. These guys main evented the first episode of Lucha Underground. Prince Puma was the first ever Lucha Underground champion. Could be the first ever two-time Lucha Underground champion. Johnny Mundo has had an incredible reign as Lucha Underground champion. God help me, this is just turning into an awesome event. Ultima Lucha 3 is just going to be absolutely amazing.
Oh God, easily. And just as a side note, I have to mention this. I know we're on the positivity train, but I gotta add even more positivity. We gotta talk about how fucking amazing Johnny Mundo is right now. Like, homie is working Lucha Underground. He was at Triple Mania this year. He's been working his ass off with AAA. He's with Impact Wrestling working over there as well. It's just, dude is everywhere and is just tearing it up. Like, I don't know what happened to him once he left WWE, but just like with Cody Rhodes, best thing that happened to his career. Johnny Mundo over John Morrison, American Nightmare over anything WWE did with Cody.
Definitely agree with that. And we're definitely going to be talking a bit about what Johnny Impact is going to be doing in Impact Wrestling in just a bit, but just going to do a little bit of a quick highlight for NXT. Main two things that came out of NXT for me were, first of all, that no DQ match between Hideo Itami and Cassius Ohno. God help me, was that match just as brutal. It might have been one of the matches that definitely could have matched the 5-0 Street Fight, except, less blood and a lot of really good storyline between the two of them. And, of course, that this is going to turn into a gift match. The low blow that Cassius Ohno delivered to Hideo Itami, and just the look on Hideo's face when he got that low blow, of his eyes almost jolting out of his face. Jesus Christ. Oh, man.
I remember, I'm sorry, Joey Ryan got his junk burned and electrocuted. My immediate thought upon seeing that blow was, well, hope you didn't want kids, Kenta. That's just, I will freely admit, I have been lucky in my life that I have never been hit below the belt. But I've seen it happen plenty of times. And when I saw that, I just went, well, oh man, it's a good thing this shit is scripted. Holy fuck. If this weren't scripted, something would have ruptured.
Right.
Itami sold that he sold that like a teenager getting stabbed by Jason Voorhees. It was amazing. Hideo, I know you're the heel, but I'm sorry.
Yeah, Cassius Ohno would then after that hit his, discus elbow for the 1-2-3. I want more of Cassius Ohno versus Hideo Itami, in all honesty. I think that this matchup was just basically the beginning of what was going to be just beauty. Then going from the beauty to the here come the waterworks. Asuka coming into NXT. She basically announcing that she's going to be going to the main roster, and William Regal tore everybody's hearts out by saying yes and going up to the main roster. She and him have both agreed that she's going to not be the NXT champion any longer. And legitimately, oh my gosh, this is one of Asuka's best promos, because for a long time she was definitely acting more heelish. She was definitely acting more a bit like a, I know this might offend you, Max, but it is true. She's acting more like a bit like a bitch. But with this promo itself, it redeemed all that, because she definitely approved of everything that she did in NXT. She said that this was her home, that this was something that she absolutely loved. She got a standing ovation. All the locker room came out to the ramp and just applauded for her. And we see the hug scene around the world, in which Ember Moon comes to the ring. It looks like they're going to do a handshake, and Ember's just like, nah, does the whole hair slick back deal, but then hugs Ember Moon in the middle of the ring. Just a beautiful moment. And then to make matters even better, remember what happened a couple of years ago with NXT TakeOver Respect, where we saw Sasha Banks and Bayley main event? Well, we got to see that again because Triple H came out. He had a bunch of roses, gave it to Asuka. Yeah, he took the belts. God damn you, Triple H. But again, just giving Asuka major props by saying, let's hear it one more time for the undefeated, the Destroyer, the nobody's ready for her, Asuka. And that's how the show basically ended, with Asuka in the ring. Fans chanting, thank you, Asuka. God help me, the emotions. God help me, I don't want to live anymore.
like a lot of people have been saying, and I agree with it, NXT past year or so hasn't been up to the quality standard we'd seen in the past. Still good, but not been quite there. One of the big saving graces, one of the things that's been on that level pretty consistently has been Asuka. You know, and I'm not even saying that just because I've been a fan of hers back when she was in Japan. I'm saying that just because she did an amazing job. She, like, for a long time, guys like Seth Rollins and then later on Sami Zayn, they were like the heart and soul of NXT. Asuka kind of became that in her own right. Like, for the past at least few months, she was, the angles were guaranteed to be good. There was guaranteed to be intensity and fire in the promos, and it felt passionate and real, and her matches were always fantastic, and it was just... And then, having, the title and fucking arm injury, and now she's going to the main roster, and I won't lie, I shed a tear, because it was beautifully done. It was, goddamn, it was so great. And then as soon as the episode was over, I started crying again, because I realized, fuck, she's going to the main roster. Oh my god. They make Sami Zayn look like a punk. They flush Bayley. They keep 50-50 booking Nakamura. If they ruin Asuka, I am going to blow up the moon.
Man.
I don't even care. Fuck the world at that point. The moment she gets into some 50-50 back and forth, catty ass bullshit, I'm just like, nope, launch the nukes at the moon, nuke in the moon. You have fucked my NXT dreams in the eye socket one too many times, WWE. You do it this time, and I kill everyone.
Oh my gosh. With that, going into a little bit of Impact Wrestling yesterday, which was pretty decent, pretty good episode.
I actually watched it.
I that was why I thought, you know what, let's talk about it a little bit. Let's discuss that, because it was one of those few times where I'm like, Max, are you feeling okay? Because this is not like you to watch Impact Wrestling, considering probably the last time you watched it was during the whole broken Matt Hardy deal, where he was saying, the whole delete thing, final deletion, where it's like, okay, now I actually watch this.
That easily was the last time I watched it, and I have not kept up on any news with Impact in months, so I flip on Impact, and I'm sitting there, and then I just get my fucking brain rocked when Jim fucking Cornette walks out, and I'm just like, that's Jim Cornette on Impact. That's Jim Cornette. What is happening to the world right now? Oh my god, that's Jim Cornette on Impact. Suddenly it's 2005. Anyway, so that was cool in and of itself. The whole thing with Low-Key, with him being in LAX, and his beef with Johnny Mundo, that I think is being really well handled. Johnny Impact. I'm like, come on, you got the deal with AAA and you can't call him Mundo, come on. But whatever, small gripe.
Right.
Their whole, that little, I don't really want to call it a pipe bomb, it was more like a cherry bomb, firecracker, when Low-Key said, this isn't WWE, this isn't Lucha Underground, which I think might be the first and only time so far in history that someone's mentioned those two promotions in the same breath on television. It's basically, this is Impact, you can't just walk up into this place. And I kind of liked that, though, for a reason that I don't think Impact intended. The one thing I picked up on with this episode is they've got a ton of talent from Mexico, from Japan, from various American indies, and it's like to the point where it almost doesn't feel like Impact. Like, this just feels like a global wrestling showcase. So, And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I think, if you're going to call yourself Global Force Wrestling and you're going to be this, go balls to the wall with being a WWE alternative, I think that's actually a good way to go. That's fine. I do think it needs a little bit more balance with the Impact side of the roster, but it's at least interesting enough to get me to want to watch next week. And I really liked that they had Low-Key and LAX be kind of bitter towards him, like, no, man, we don't care that you're from outside Impact. We're from Impact, dude. Screw you. And Johnny's like, dude, I represent wrestling. I want to have good matches, and this is a place where I think I can have great matches. What the hell? And I'm sorry, Jim Cornette losing his shit backstage afterwards going, next week, it's a number one contenders match. Johnny Impact and Low-Key. I hope they beat each other to death. I'm like, oh my God, Jim Cornette hasn't lost anything. This is great. Oh my God. Honestly, I can't believe I'm going to say this. Overall, not just that segment, but I actually kind of really dug Impact. First off, they brought back Joseph Park, a.k.a. the human side of Abyss, and Joseph Park is one of the best fucking things that TNA ever created, so seeing him on my TV screen, I'm like the Grinch. My heart grew 3 sizes that day. That whole thing with him and Grado and what's-her-name and her going psycho as the breakup was just fucking great. And then the commentary crew just being like, well, that didn't go well, did it? That was just great. Like, honestly, there were parts of this show that were great. There's a couple parts, not. Let's be polite and fair and say not so great. So it's kind of a mixed bag, but overall, I actually enjoyed myself watching it. And I think the last time I could say that about Impact was like 2009, maybe 2008. So, hey, the Global Force transition is doing them some good. And I gotta say, I like the new designs of all their belts. I also like the fact that they're finally calling their women's division the fucking women's division. It actually says, GFW Women's Champion on the women's division belt. I mean, that's kind of nice, too. And then we got to the awkward part of the show where they started talking about Triple Mania and Sexy Star. And wow, like they weren't ragey about it, but nobody was happy about, like you could tell they were trying to, oh man, I can't believe someone would do that. It's total loss of respect. And, they're saying these words, but you look in their eyes and you just see the words, I'm gonna kill that bitch, going across their brain. It was awkward, but at the same time, I think it took a lot of balls to actually talk about it.
Yeah, it definitely did. And I mentioned this on the Pro Wrestling Off Topic, that I did definitely see Sexy Star as a role model at first, but I think that all just got taken away after what happened. And I mentioned this on podcast before, the way that Rosemary, took this. She didn't go out on social media right away. She let it kind of sink in, thought the situation through, and then decided, hey, this is what's going through my mind right now, that, thankfully that it's more of a sprain and not like a dislocation, thank God. That Sexy Star is a liar, and she and Sexy Star apology can just kiss my giant white what.
That wasn't even really an apology, and that bit where she said, and apparently Rosemary's arm is injured, I don't know, and I'm just like, did you just accuse her of faking it? Like, oh, but I want to continue representing abused women. You just abused a woman! What the fuck? I mean, there have been, Cody Rhodes freaking came out and said, nah, she better not step into one of my locker rooms. Multiple indie feds all across the U.S. and even apparently in parts of Mexico basically blackballed her. I've heard people, I can't remember who said it, but someone basically said, this business is all about putting our lives in each other's hands because we trust and respect each other. If we can't have that trust and respect, we have nothing. And it's just, took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, I was because of Lucha Underground, I was a huge fan of Sexy Star, but now it's just, and like I said, I got to give Impact a lot of credit. They handled it in a very polite, concise, factual manner, and no other promotion in the U.S., as far as I know, is really talking about it. And honestly, with their heavy connections with AAA, it feels very appropriate that they be the ones to talk about it. And the way they handled it, you know what? Maybe I lost my respect a lot for Sexy, but Impact, you just earned a lot of mine back.
Excuse me. Yeah, it's just
saying that in 2017.
Hey,
back around to the funny.
Hey, wrestling is changing, and so are a lot of opinions. What were your thoughts on the main event between the American Shaman, Matt Sydal, and the GFW Global Champion, Eli Drake? I watched this matchup, and I thought, wow, this is really good. If there's a way to book a heel world champion, this is definitely the way to do it, because Eli Drake, ever since he broke off from Drew Galloway and the Rising, I believe that they were called, they definitely were. He definitely has just become a huge star of it in his own right. He had the Fact of Life talk show, which definitely helped him seem more like a dick and more like just an amazing guy. His wrestling just improved even leaps and bounds. Seeing him win the title a few weeks back was a crowning achievement, because it was one of the first times that they actually had a homegrown star in the Impact Wrestling in the GFW area that won that title. And it's like, great. They finally gave it to somebody who was in their area since almost like their promotion, since seemingly, I don't want to say since day one, but basically since their first day in actual wrestling there, because it's been a while since it's really happened. And the match itself, like I said, was really good. It definitely showed Eli Drake as a great heel. Chris Adonis did the fair amount of interfering. I thought that the way that they presented that, where he just seemingly accidentally threw the chair in, and the referee caught it, where it's like, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? And that allowed Eli Drake to get the belt, to try and hit Matt Sydal, and Matt's just like, nope, knee to the face. And we see almost the shooting star press. Chris got involved, and then we see Eli Drake again, belt to the head, and then I hated the name of the finisher, but now I'm coming to love it. The Celtic Cross, or how Eli Drake calls it, the gravy train, is legitly like one of my favorite names for a finisher right now. But Eli Drake retaining his championship, and now he's got to look ahead to the future between either Low-Key or Johnny Impact. But getting too far ahead of myself, your thoughts on the main event?
Honestly, I got to agree with you 100% on this one. Like I said, I went into this episode of Impact pretty much completely blind. Like, I didn't know who the champions were. I didn't know about the new belt designs. I didn't know about Cornette. I didn't know about Mundo. And I didn't know about this match, or who the champion was, obviously. But going into this, like, when I say I hate Eli Drake, I mean that in the sense of I hate the character. He's a really good heel. He gets genuine heel heat out of me, which is really nice to see. It's kind of cool having that kind of reaction to a heel again, especially an Impact heel. Like, damn, holy shit, good on you, man. And honestly, yeah, this match, I mean, was it the best match I saw all week? No, probably not, but it was damn good. And sometimes, it's all it needs to be. It was damn good. The character work is what really coasted it for me. And I'm looking forward to see whoever Drake has to face. I won't lie, since Mundo's got so much on his plate, I'm kind of hoping Low-Key snakes the victory and he winds up going up against Drake. I think that match should be fucking great. Although it is, again, going back to Cornette, it is so weird, given a lot of Cornette's comments on Low-Key, to see them in the same promotion. But I look forward to a Low-Key Drake match. I think that'd be really damn good. And, I mean, hell, I can't remember a time in Impact when Low-Key was near the world title scene. So, hell yeah. I think the only downside there is it would essentially be heel versus heel. And I think that since they're still pretty early into their GFW run, I don't think they want to push that too far. So I have a feeling it's probably going to be Mundo, especially since he's, he's the bigger name, he's the bigger draw, et cetera, et cetera. But honestly, it's Johnny freaking Mundo. I mean, that match will be fucking great too. I mean, it's one of those situations where I'm like, I want to watch Impact next week because I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm excited for either outcome. Just, oh my god, like, who wore it better, Raw or SmackDown? Impact. I mean, I'd still say that NXT and Lucha Underground, as usual, were definitely the number 1 and number 2 this week, but call me a madman, Impact was number 3.
Man, that is saying a lot. So,
yeah, honestly, I'm watching Impact next week, and if that episode's good, I'll watch it the next week, and so on and so forth. They keep this up. They just brought me back after, God, like 7.5 years. Hey, you know what? Maybe 2017 is not as bad as I thought.
And speaking of 2017, one of the highlights has definitely been the Mae Young Classic, which we will actually close the show with. We are down to the final 2.
God, the Mae Young Classic.
Yep, it's been really good, and we're now down to the final 2, and the finals will indeed conclude. I believe it's going to be this upcoming Tuesday, in which the finals will be Kairi Sane versus Shayna Baszler. It's going to be a fight. And in all honesty, I've got my favorite picked out, and I think she's going to win. I'm picking Kairi Sane to win the whole thing. One of our good friends...
Oh my God, we are in so much agreement there. Oh my God, I want her I'll be happy with either outcome, but if she wins, I'm going to be doing backflips. Just, honestly, WWE, you probably don't have enough room on all 3 shows, NXT, SmackDown, and Raw, but to sign all of these women, sign like half of them at least. Holy shit. I think the biggest crime out of all this is that Io Shirai, because of an injury, wasn't able to compete, but oh my God, clearly that didn't affect a goddamn thing. Oh man. This tournament, honestly, might be blasphemy. I've been enjoying this more than the Cruiserweight Classic. And oh my God, I want Kairi Sane to win so bad. Oh my God.
Yeah, I definitely fell in love with Kairi Sane probably the moment that I saw her. And the match that she had with Tessa Blanchard just definitely stands out as one of the best matches in the entire tournament.
Oh my God, by a stretch. That match was just fire from start to finish.
And when it comes to my thoughts on Shayna Baszler, not very high on her. Yes, she's a part of the original 4 Horsewomen, but I just think that, the whole attitude thing and not having respect for anybody except for, I think it was Mercedes Martinez, who they worked together, so it made sense. Other than that, she's never given any kind of handshake, or she never really gave somebody a pat on the back. It's just one of those things where it's I get it. It can be a competitive sport, but at the same time, you can at least appreciate some of the people that you're in the ring with, because they're, I guess it's one of those things where it's with the little sexy star thing. It's they're agreeing to put their body on the line just to work with you. You could at least show a little bit of gratitude to them. Nope, not really. And maybe somebody will say, well, you just hate it because it's the MMA style. The MMA style and the WWE style, you have to remember, are 2 different things. The MMA style is basically, I'm going to keep punching you in the head until somebody tells me, no, you're done, you're done. WWE, you're basically just fighting each other until somebody comes out a victor. And usually, sometimes that's nobody, but we're not going to talk about that, especially not with Mojo Rawley. Like I said, I want to like Shayna Baszler, and our good friend AJ has definitely picked her to be the favorite to win the entire thing. I don't want to see that happen. I want to see Kairi Sane win it, and in all honesty, she would earn it. She's done an amazing job. She's I said this. Asuka has a face that definitely looks really amazing as a heel. With Kairi Sane, she just has this innocence about her. It's like she should just be a babyface forever. That's how I feel about Kairi Sane. I know you probably have different thoughts about Kairi Sane, and probably there's some different stories that would tell me otherwise, but right now I'm at the point where it's like, just keep Kairi Sane as a babyface. Let her be a good girl for like ever. Please. Please and thank you.
Oh, no, actually, I still agree with you there. She definitely, I think, works great as a face, and I don't want her to turn heel. No, keep her as a face. She's great at it.
And also with Kairi Sane, basically the polar opposite of what Shayna Baszler is, she probably has thanked every single person that she's worked with. It's one of those things where it's like, yes, that's what I like to see. Somebody who's in gratitude of the wrestling, who basically is like the best sport that you could possibly imagine, where after every match she's just, either hugging somebody or giving them a handshake saying, thank you for the matchup, thank you for the opportunity. It's just absolutely amazing how she is. And she is just overcome with so much emotion. And one of the reasons I think why is because she is the only one in this entire tournament representing Japan. And she has represented them perfectly. In all honesty, I am hoping that we see Asuka in the crowd during the finals, because I would love to just see a moment where Kairi Sane wins the matchup, and maybe she just goes down to Asuka, maybe they share like a handshake, or maybe just share an embrace, and Asuka maybe can even says, "Nobody's ready for Zane," where Kairi Sane just goes on to be the NXT Women's Champion for 2 years because reasons. Why not?
Oh, I would want either that or Asuka's out in the crowd. She calls Asuka into the ring. They shake, they hug, shake hands, hug, all that good business. And then, she goes, "Nobody's ready for Zayn." It's like, yay! But no, you are not ready for Asuka. And just, bam!
Oh my God.
Either way, now I want this so much.
It's one of those moments where it's just kind of like, well, I think we have our first women's dream matchup, in which we want to see Kairi Sane versus Asuka. Please, for the love of God, give this to us. We don't ask for much, but we would just love to see this matchup that seems like it could only happen in Japan. Please, just let this happen. That and AJ Styles versus Finn Balor would be amazing.
Oh my God. But somehow have it so both of those matches happen on the same card.
And I will be putting a bullet to my head now. Thank you very much. So, in all honesty, wrestling this week was absolutely a roller coaster. It was up and down. Great stuff. Bit of some horrible stuff. But in all honesty, this has been one of the better weeks.
Oh, easily.
From Raw.
Raw and SmackDown were weird, but ultimately watchable, and I can't throw that much shade in an episode of Raw that ends in the third House Apocalypse match, so. NXT was pretty solid. Saying Lucha Underground was great was kind of like saying that the sun rises in the morning at this point, but it's worth saying, damn it. And honestly, even Impact was fun to watch. It's just, I guess with the way things are going in the world, all the wrestlers kind of just got together and decided, okay, guys, the world sucks right now. Let's tear the house down. And personally, I'm okay with that.
I'm totally okay with that too. In all honesty, it's just I think it's just going to get better and better. And with everything that's going on, with No Mercy coming up, and following that would be Hell in the Cell, all the way building up to Survivor Series in November, it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks. I mean, we got Ultima Lucha 3 coming up. We got the Mae Young Finals coming up. There's just going to be a lot to talk about. So next week is going to be another fantastic week in which we talk about everything that's just right in the world, especially with the Mae Young Finals. So thank you guys so much for joining us here for this week Of course, Max, it's always good hearing from you. It's always good doing these kind of shows with you. So thank you so much for your time. And
well, of course, be more than happy to be here next week. Too.
All right, guys. So if you ever want to talk to Mr. Max Beatty, you can check him out on his not his Facebook, his Twitter at Agent Cooper 1989, as well as check him out on YouTube. He definitely has a lot of interesting, reviews. And I think after Sunday, when we both go see the new It movie that's coming out, it's good. We're gonna have a good review that you can definitely check out on my Facebook. So a lot of you definitely know where that is. Also, be sure to check me out on Twitter at RealFNGame, and also give us a like on the Facebook fan page, facebook.com/changing up the game. So for Mr. Max Beatty, I am Nate the Effin' Great. Thank you for joining us here on the Game Changer, and we will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.